Hello, and welcome to another episode of ES Repair. I am your host, Mr. Fix-It. In this video, I'm going to help you set up a brand new hard drive. Now, brand new hard drives have nothing on them whatsoever, and they need to be conditioned or set up so the operating system can use it. To do this, you can do several things, but first we need to initialize the disk. To do so, you need to select the disk using the software AOMEI Partition Assistant Home Edition. This is the software that brings you up, and you can do all kinds of things with the software, as you've seen other tutorials that I've done for this software. Now, I'm going to try and squeeze in some stuff that we can do. We're going to set up the hard drive at the bottom, which is disk 4. I have it highlighted as green, and this is the drive we're going to be working with. Now, when you buy a brand new drive, you have a choice. You can either install it as a secondary drive if your computer or laptop has the room, or you can use it to upgrade your old hard drive to your new hard drive. Now, you do need to have the drive initialized, which I will show you here. To use this drive, make sure the drive you're going to use is highlighted. In this case, it's disk 4. You'll notice over here that you'll see Initialize Disk. Up here under Disk, when you click on the menu, you'll also notice that it's Initialized Disk. Now, if you don't see it here, or if you come up here and it's grayed out, that means that the disk is already initialized and no further action needs to be taken. You can also right-click the drive, as I did here, and again you'll see Initialized Disk. Now, in this case, I need to set the disk so the operating system can use it. All you have to do is click Initialize Disk. Now, when the window comes up, it wants to know what kind of disk you're going to use. Now, if you're going to use Windows, then you'll need to use MBR. In fact, most of what we're going to do here deals with the MBR. It's known as the Master Boot Record. GPT is for drives that are larger than 2 terabytes, and it's also for different operating systems. But Windows cannot use GPT. As you can see here, you can choose. But by default, we're going to use MBR, Master Boot Record. Once you hit, make sure it's selected, and then choose OK. Now, notice over here that it says Initialize Disk 4 in the pending operations. Now, we're going to click Apply. Now, you don't have to do each function separately. You can have it accumulate of all the operations you want done with the drive, and then you can apply, and it will do all the operations in order. Now, as you see here, it's going to initialize the disk, the size of the disk, and the style that it's going to use, which is MBR. Now, here at the bottom, it's going to show the approximation of how much time it will take. In this case, it says about approximately 30 seconds or more. Then you proceed, and then choose Yes. And then when it's complete, your disk is ready to use. It has contained a master boot record on the drive. Now, next, once your disk is initialized, you'll notice that back up here, if you click on disk, it's grayed out. You can no longer do it. Again, you'll see that you can no longer do it. That means that the disk is initialized and it's ready for use. Now, if you're going to migrate or upgrade your computer from your old hard drive to your new hard drive, you're going to need to migrate the operating system. If that's your case, then you need to watch the migrating to the operating system tutorial, which I will provide a link for. And it will automatically do the rest. Now, if you're going to use this drive, like I'm using my secondary drive here, this is my second drive that's a physical drive, not a partition, it's a physical drive, disk number 2. This is where I store all data, videos, pictures, anything I download for updates, this is where I store it all. I even keep backups on this drive. Well, if your case, you're going to use this drive as storage, then let me show you some of the things that you can do. First, we need to create a partition. You'll click up here under Partition Operations, and you can choose Create Partition. You can also go and right-click the drive, and you'll notice you can do other things to it. You want to go under Properties, and it will give you all the information about the drive. Now, if you right-click the partition here, this section here, you get a submenu of all the things that you can do to the partition. Now here, the only thing we can do right now is create one. Now here comes the fun part. You can use either the whole drive as one partition, or you can divide them up. First, let's go ahead and do it like this. We're going to use this whole drive as the one single partition. We've got the size, the letter it's going to be assigned, the filing system it will use, and down here we'll click Advanced. I'm going to name it ES Repair Demo, and then choose OK. And again, you do have your partitions down here, or your operations pending. So let me go ahead and choose Apply, choose Proceed, and choose Yes. Now you can have multiple operations, but I'm just showing you and reminding you what, before anything takes place, you have to choose Apply. Okay, now we'll choose OK. Now we have our partition on disk 4. Now another thing that you can do with these is you can split a partition. For example, let's say you want to divide this up and put a smaller partition on there. Well, you can come over here under Partition Operations and select Partition. Now, you can also right-click the partition, and under the submenu, you can also choose Split Partition. Now this will divide the partition equally by default. However, you can change it. You can see this side and you can see this side. And as you can tell from reading the sizes, it's split in half. Now, you can adjust as to what side gets what. You can either adjust this side, or you can move it over to this side. And as you notice, the ratio between the two partitions have adjusted. So if instead of having to enter the numbers down here, you could just grab this dot and slide it wherever you want. Now under Advanced, this is for solid state drives, which I don't have one, but it will align the partitions up to use by solid state drives. Now once you decide where you want your partition and how you want to split it up, choose OK. Now this is the afterword of what's going to take place. Now we no longer have one partition. We have two. And this is what would look like when you have split the partition. And remember, you got your operations here. Come up here and choose apply once you approve them. And then it'll show you the approximation of how long it will take. And then choose proceed. And there you have it. Now it's complete. Now another thing you can do is you can also resize and move partitions. Now we're going to resize this one. And let's say we're going to shrink this one. Let's see, some hard drives are 40 gigabytes. Well, let me get that back. There we go. That's close enough. I ain't going to be too picky. So I'm going to resize it. Now I have all this space right here that's going to be blank. Now what I want to do is I'm going to move the partition. Now this is the whole section that the old partition took place. And now I can move it. If I shrink it, I can move it. Notice how the spaces, the numbers change. This is the unallocated space before the partition, which is this. Anything in front of it is unallocated space before the partition. And this is the unallocated space after the partition. So if I move this right here, there's going to be 27.5 gigabytes in this section, which is before the partition. And there's going to be 26.3 gigabytes in this partition after the in this section after the partition. Now, Advanced is the same thing. It will allow you to optimize the performance for solid state drives. If you're using a solid state drive, be sure that is checked. Now we can choose OK. And there we go. Now I can create this one. Create this one. Now I can have 4 partitions on a single drive, and no more. That's it. Now you have the three primaries, which that's all you're allowed, and you have one logical. Primary partitions means that the partition will boot up the operating system or a operating system. Logical, such as this one here that's highlighted, cannot boot a system. It can only store data, nothing else. Now, we also have my operations. Now, the operations here, you can see I have three different things. Now, I can choose Apply. Gives you my list of everything it's going to do. It's going to take approximately 15 minutes. And then I can choose Proceed. And then choose Yes. Once the process is complete, just click OK. And now you have 4 individual partitions on your hard drive. And that is how you can resize and remove and create new partitions. Now keep in mind, you can only provide 4 partitions per drive. You can have 3 primaries, and you can have 1 logical, and nothing else. Now, let's say you have 2 partitions that you want to merge. You can do so by using the Merge Partition function under Partition Operations. Now, you can select the disk that we're going to work for, which is 4. You could choose which partitions it's going to merge. Now, it will only merge 2 adjacent partitions into a bigger one, or it will merge unallocated disk space to a partition. So, the only 2 adjacent ones it shows here is I and G. So, we'll select I and G. Now, merge the above selected partition to the target partition. Now, you can choose either which partition is merged to the other partition. You can either merge I to G or G to I. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to merge the partitions to G. So we'll select G and then choose OK. Now it will give you a warning that all data in the I partition will be merged into the drive G partition. Now choose OK. And there you go. This is what it's going to look like. You will have a little spot in between them. This is to allow it to merge. It gives it the room that the system requires in order to move data. So don't be alarmed if that's what you see. Now again, you have the pending operation. We'll choose Apply. It'll take about 30 seconds. And then we'll choose Proceed. And click Yes. Now again, once the process finishes, choose OK. And now, when it's completed, you remember the little spot that was in between? That was like 7 megabytes? It's gone now. And now you have the first two partitions emerged into one single partition. And that is all you need to do when you want to merge two partitions together. Now, another thing you can do is you can format partitions. For instance, we'll go to this one over here because it's the smallest. And we can right click, which contains the same functions as these over here. And we want to choose Format. Now, Format sets up the partition. Plus, it gives you more control as to how you want it formatted. Type that in for ES Repair Demo for the label. We're going to use NTFS. It gives you a choice of which ones you want to use. Now, the cluster size, what this means is each cluster that data is written are in blocks or in clusters. Now, normally the clusters are in 4 kilobytes. That's default. Now, you can choose anywhere between 512 bytes or 0.5 kilobytes, or you can choose up to 64. Now, you can use the default. Some cases I use 512 bytes, which is 0.5 kilobytes. It doesn't matter what you use. It mostly pertains to wasted disk space, which I'll deal with that in another video. And that's all you need to do. Once you decide your partition label, the filing system you use, the cluster size, which is default. Now, it does warn you that formatting the partition will destroy all the data in the partition. Choose OK. And there you'll see how it's completed. Now, we do have the pending operation. Click Apply. And there we go. Now, it gives you the format partition, the drive letter it's going to, the filing format, the new label, the why it says drive letter, I have no idea. I think it's a glitch in the software. But it should say cluster size is what it should say. And it'll tell you the size of the partition that it's going to format. And down here it tells you approximately how long it will take, which says 30 seconds or more. Click Proceed, and then choose Yes. And then choose OK. And now your drive is formatted and ready to go. Now, when you create these partitions, it's automatically done for you, but the format partition gives you more control as to the cluster size. Basically, that's what it's for. Other things you can do is you can delete partitions, which I've showed you how to do that in another video. You can copy the partitions. I've showed you how to create them. I showed you how to split them, how to merge them, and how to resize them. And that's basically all there is to do to set up your brand new hard drive. Now, if you're going to migrate your operating system, there's no need to do this. You don't need to do anything else other than to migrate your operating system, which I do have a tutorial with the software to show you how it's done. And it's very simple to do. Well, I'm your host, Mr. Fix-It. Thank you for watching.